Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for new stories from YellowCat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Employers and managers who had to fire someone on their first day. What happened? I got to fire my co-manager's sister who called 5 minutes before her first shift and said she'd be there in an hour because she just sat down to dinner with friends. What do you mean you just sat down for dinner? Your first shift is in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but we were out and decided to go for dinner. I'll still be there, just a little late.
An hour isn't a little late. Be here in 5 minutes or don't bother coming in at all.
But co-manager is my sister. She gave me the job?
Yes, she did. See you in 5 or not at all.
But co-manager is my sister!
My co-manager was actually happy about it. She knew her sister would be an S employee and only agreed to hire her because we were desperately short-staffed and she could start immediately. Is an hour that big a deal? Yes. Yes, it is. This was a hospitality position and the roster is based around expected volume of customers. An hour short-staffed means less customers served, which means less money through the till short-term, and peed-off customers, which means less money long-term. I worked at a company once where a guy got fired for coming in late. It wasn't his first day, but still only about his third. His excuse? I left the house at 8. I don't see what the problem is. The manager told him, we need people that can be here at 8, not leave the house at 8. Don't bother coming in tomorrow. I work in the court system and deal with lots of people like this. My first year or two was repeated WTF moments, and now nothing surprises me anymore. In my first couple months, we had a probation hearing where part of the issue was that this woman had been fired from her job at McD's. She had told the PO that she had quit. They reported they'd fired her for no call, no show. She gets on the witness stand and says, in effect, well, they keep setting my shifts so I couldn't go to my visits with my kid, so I quit. Q. Did he give them notice? A. Looks puzzled. What? Q. Did you give them a letter or something saying you were going to quit? A. No. Q. Did you call your manager saying you were quitting? A. No. Q. So, when you say you quit, you really just stopped going to work one day? A. Yeah. Q. And if they say they fired you because you didn't show up and didn't let them know, are they saying pretty much the same thing? A. Well, I quit, but yeah, I guess. I've come to the conclusion it's almost a cultural thing. Your parents probably never sat down and told you, if you have a job and you don't want to go anymore, you have to tell them you quit. But you learned it somewhere. But there are significant numbers of people for whom that's just something that's like a mind-blowing revelation. They've never heard it before. He tried to buy weed off a customer just because the customer looked like someone who might have weed. He didn't. I worked at a popular teen/college kid clothing store. I wasn't the manager, but I trained new hires. This one girl shopped at the store a lot, and we were excited to hire her. She was let go because she was late, was caught trying on clothes instead of greeting, and apparently laughed when anyone asked for a size larger than a medium. Her family showed up at the end of her shift and tried to buy $2,000 to $3,000 worth of clothes with her employee discount. Corporate policy sucks, so they got a good portion of it. Her mom tried to bring it all back years later, completely worn/destroyed, and threw a fit saying she should get full price because the girl had died. Guess who we could all see sitting in her mom's car? I'm a teacher. I was on a committee to hire a new 5th grade teacher. I was showing her the ropes and monitoring her in-class behavior. I watched this bonehead tell a student, I don't like you very much, figure it out yourself. The next thing I showed her was the door. In the exit interview had on the walk to the door, I demanded an explanation and she said of the student she didn't like, she said, he was wearing designer jeans. You know his life is all peaches and cream taking from us little guys. I say, did he make an inappropriate comment to you about money?
She says, "No, but I know they're kind."
My chef hired a guy who was less than a week out of prison for dealing. He was just going to wash dishes. Seemed like an okay guy, just looking for some work because he had just done 5+ years. So, one day, he goes to head chef and asks, "Hey man, you know anybody here who wants to buy heroin?" Out the door 2 hours into his first job out of the joint. IT position supposedly had a BA in computer science with 2 years experience in relevant technical position. I didn't interview him. We very quickly discovered that his computer abilities were non-existent, started asking questions until he broke down and said he lied on his resume because he wanted to make more money. His previous job was drywall installations. We gave him a list of software he needed available via a URL. He didn't know what to do with the URL or what a URL was, and then it quickly unraveled. It was about 3 hours because the first 2 were paperwork. I work for a company that takes care of the HR needs of other small companies in my area. New hires often come in to fill out paperwork. We had this guy who came in, filled out his name and social security number, gave it to us, then proceeded to steal the front desk guy's wallet and keys, right in front of the very visible security camera. Turns out the police knew the guy as we were a repeat offender. He lived right around the corner. Know someone who works at a warehouse that stores and ships boxes of pharmaceuticals. There are some understandably pretty tight handling rules, so nothing goes missing and everything is stored properly. One day, they had a guy start that asked if they should open the oxy to count them to make sure that there was as many in the bottle as it said there was. He asked multiple people this, was gone shortly after. "Hey, I'm just gonna open this box and count these pills. Just to make sure they're all still there, you know? Whoops, looks like this bottle had a few too many. I'm just gonna stick them in my mouth so some kid doesn't find them and get hurt. Can't have that. Hey, this bottle is missing 10 pills. I found it that way. I counted them and some are missing. They're not missing because I took them, I counted and they're just not there. Well, now that they're gone, we can't sell this bottle anyways. I'm just gonna put it here in this bag that says Nabe's Lunch." The most memorable firing I witnessed was this man who got hired as VP of Marketing. He thought this title gave him the right to be late on his first day for an important meeting with our board members, VP, and CEO. Though irritating, he was given a pass since he was new and rewarded with a second chance to impress. This proved to be useless as he was later heard propositioning our new interns for S in exchange to be in this imaginary marketing campaign that supposedly would come with endless perks and cash. The CEO personally escorted him out and kindly told him to go F himself, in the most PC way, of course. Not an employer or manager, but a girl at my job showed up absolutely plastered on her first day of work. Working at a machine shop, I'm sure you can imagine that this was especially a no-no. I still wonder why anyone would show up drunk on their first day of work. Nerves, maybe? Caught him snorting some kind of pill. He probably could have gotten away with it if he wasn't doing it in my office. I'm not a manager, but I had a potential coworker who called in sick. I guess he didn't know that the manager didn't have to work through the evening and bumped into him at the movies. My boss told us this as he fired him the next day. Similar story here. I fired an employee after about 2 weeks on the job. He missed 3 days of work because of the stomach flu. When he got to work, I acted very concerned and let him lie to me with all the elaborate details of his illness. After he had buried himself in lies, I showed him the Facebook photos that his friends had tagged him in over the past few nights out doing shots at bars. I said, "You know, you could have just told me that your mates were in town for a visit and I would have given you the time off." I manage a coffee shop lunchy place. Young girl came in fresh out of culinary school and had previous coffee shop experience. What could go wrong, right? The first day, I had her shadow the other employees just to get a hang of the POS system and general flow of the store. Nope, customers overwhelmed her and she liked to hide in the back leaning on the ice machine. Fine, whatever. She said she loved baking earlier on, so I sent her to the kitchen to make some cookies. I'm super chill, I didn't even care what kind, as long as they were effing awesome and delicious, she had creative control. She comes out sometime later admitting she doesn't know how to make cookies and needs help. Now I'm getting bloody frustrated. As we move on into the lunch rush, a wave of customers flood the front of house and I was needed. I had 40 liters of soup in the back needing a titch more roux and asked her to thicken it a tad before serving. Surely she could handle that. Soups and sauces being addressed in the first bloody week of the culinary school she apparently attended. I attended the same program, by the way. Nope. She found a box of cornstarch and dumped the whole box in. Dry. Soup destroyed. Her shift ended shortly afterwards. Turns out I forgot to get her contact information at the beginning of the shift, so I had to message her on Facebook telling her not to bother ever returning. Classy, I know, but she was just one huge bloody mess I couldn't even begin to fix. The job hours were from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our new hire showed up about 10 minutes late on the first day. Normally 10 minutes late isn't that big a deal to me, but it was his first day, and I had pulled 3 other staff members into our 8 a.m. meeting so we could discuss the training schedule with our new hire. So we are already in our meeting when the new guy walks in. He doesn't apologize for being late. He just sits down as I'm going over the training schedule for the week. After a few minutes of listening to us discuss what he's going to be doing for the rest of the week, he raises his hand and says, "Can we reschedule the afternoon sessions planned for today and tomorrow? I have to leave at 11 today and 12:30 tomorrow." This was the first time I was hearing about these plans. I asked the 3 staff supervisors to give me an opportunity to speak with the new guy alone for a few minutes. They leave the room, so I start talking to the guy about how he can't just change his schedule without running it by management first. As I'm talking to this guy, he gets a text. He looks down at his phone and puts his hand up as if he were telling me, "I'll be with you right after I finish reading this text." As soon as he finished reading the text and looked back at me, I said, "This isn't going to work. Please make sure you take everything you brought with you and do not return. I'll have HR email you your separation papers." He seemed pretty shocked and asked what he did wrong, so I told him. He tried to explain himself, but I told him that it's best if he finds somewhere else to work. Thank you for watching.
Guys, thank you for all the support and the likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.